It is the 16th of December. 52 years ago today, a new nation was born, the young democracy of Bangladesh. It took a war for this to happen. It was not a war of choice, but a war of necessity. For 13 days, Indian troops fought alongside Bangladesh liberation forces. There was death, destruction, and chaos. The brave fighters redrew the world map and gave birth to Bangladesh. Hello and welcome. This is Gravitas Plus. I am Molly Gambhir. The story of India's partition is well known. When the British Raj came to an end, Pakistan came into existence. It was split into two regions, one in the east and one in the west. Both of these parts were 1,000 miles apart. Their culture was different, their languages were different, so was their identity, economy, political power. A year after Pakistan came into existence, Urdu was chosen as the state language for both its regions. This meant that all official business would be done in Urdu, but not everyone in Pakistan spoke Urdu. The decision was taken by a handful of Pakistani ruling elite. Out of the total population of 69 million, 44 million were from East Pakistan. They spoke Bangla, and they could not tolerate such disrespect towards their language. So they fought for it. There were strikes. The language movement soon spread throughout East Pakistan. People started losing faith in the Muslim League. This led to the formation of a new party. It was called the Awami League. Under Maulana Abdul Hamid Khan Bhasani's leadership, the language movement gained fresh momentum. After 8 years of protests, violence and bloodshed, the movement was a success. The Pakistan Constituent Assembly adopted both Bangla and Urdu as the state languages. A lot changed after the Awami League came into existence. The year was 1970. Pakistan was holding its first general election. The contest boiled down to two social democratic parties. The West-based Pakistan People's Party faced fierce challenge from the Awami League. Voting took place in 300 constituencies. 162 were in East Pakistan, 138 in West. What happened next was something the PPP never saw coming. The Awami League won an absolute majority of 160 seats. 10 days later, it also dominated the provincial elections. But it did not sit right with West Pakistan. The PPP refused to hand over power, not to someone from the east. Protests broke out in East Pakistan. With each passing day, the situation became more tense. In the late evening of March 25th, the news came. The Pakistan Army had begun to disarm East Pakistan rifles. It was mainly manned by Bengalis. This was West Pakistan's Operation Searchlight. What was its aim? To wipe out all Bengali nationalists. Soon, Dhaka skies were lit up with flares. Targeted killings had started. All those who supported the Awami League had a target on their back. Party leader Mujibur Rahman was arrested. He was later flown to Rawalpindi. The General Secretary of the Awami League, Tajuddin Ahmad, was alerted in advance. Carrying a rifle and a pistol, he left to seek help from neighbour India. For all this while, the government of India had been watching closely. It let the Awami League form a government in exile. The Awami League set a new base near Kolkata. Soon, millions of refugees began to pour in. They sought refuge. India offered it. West Bengal, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura were overwhelmed by the influx. Schools, colleges, offices, railway platforms, godowns were filled with people of East Pakistan. There were an estimated 10 million of them. Authorities went around distributing food and medicines. These same refugees became the foot soldiers for the Mukti Bahini, or the Liberation Army. It was a potent force for freedom, and why not? It was raised by India's RAW, or Research and Analysis Wing. Mukti Bahini became the face of Bengali resistance. As the forces prepared for the battlefield, then Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was seeking international support. She traveled to major world capitals. Indira Gandhi also visited the United States. Her meeting with then-President Nixon and National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger did not go as planned. Kissinger took the opportunity to badmouth India and Bangladesh. Meanwhile, Gandhi had sent her aide Durga Prasad Dhar to Moscow. It was Dhar who won over Soviet leaders. As the Pakistan military continued to pound its own eastern province, Dhar and his team negotiated the Indo-Soviet Treaty. This treaty was aimed at securing emergency military supplies. Come monsoon and autumn, the Mukti Bahini softened targets in East Pakistan. They were armed with Second World War-era rifles, wearing blue and black lungis and white vests. The soldiers of Mukti Bahini merged among local farmers tending to their fields. They caught the Pakistan military off guard. Meanwhile, there was a major development. It was the 3rd of December. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was in Kolkata. After addressing a rally, she sat down for a cup of tea with the city's filmmakers and writers. That was when she was handed over a piece of paper. She read the paper and continued to chat calmly. What was on this paper? An ominous message. Pakistan had launched aerial strikes in western India. At least 11 Indian air bases had been attacked. This was the last straw. The Indian military had been ordered to stay ready for war. Indira Gandhi finished her meeting and headed to the airport. For the next 2 hours, the Prime Minister's aircraft flew over northern India. All this while, Pakistani bombers remained airborne. It was time for India to retaliate. India started an all-out tri-service war, the first in Indian history. The Army, the Navy and the Air Force fought as one alongside the Bangladesh Liberation Forces. An air bridge between Moscow and Delhi was set up. Critical equipment for the Indian Army was flown in. Top Soviet officials were also stationed in Delhi. For 13 days, the war raged on. In the middle of the war, on the 6th of December, India had formally recognized the new state of Bangladesh. 10 days later, India emerged victorious. It had won the fight for its neighbor. Bangladesh found its place on the world map. It was liberated from the clutches of Pakistan. Later in March, India and Bangladesh signed a treaty of peace and friendship. 52 years on, the bond remains stronger than ever. Bangladesh is a true friend of India, a trusted neighbor, and a valued partner. Apart from borders and rivers, both India and Bangladesh share an enormous reserve of goodwill for each other. There are trade ties, diplomatic ties, deals on several joint projects. I could go on. There is no dearth of interesting facts and figures. But what matters the most is the relationship between India and Bangladesh goes beyond gains and losses. After 52 long years, the partnership has come of age.